Hello, my dear students. Today we are going to start chapter 4, the Mughal Empire. Today we are going to talk about the case study. The first case study is about Akbar's policy. Edifice. Edifice means there was a large structure of Mughal administration that was laid down by the Akbar. Akbar's large administration is being discussed in Abul Fazl book Akbarnama. Kindly underline. And the last volume of this book was Aine Akbari. This edifice means a large structure of Akbar administration has been laid down, by the Akbar. It is being discussed in Abul Fazl Akbarnama. And last volume, Aine Akbari. We'll study the detail about this. First, I'm talking about the empire. The empire was divided into provinces. Provinces were called subas. Each suba is being governed by a subedar. So a subedar is a person who do the administrative work, who do the political work and military work. These are the functions which are performed by the subedar. The military, the political and the administrative work are to be done by the subedar. The subedar is assisted by several officers in his work. These are the officers' name. Bakshi, he is the military paymaster. Sadar, he is in charge of religious and charitable affairs. Faujdar, he is military commander. Kotwal, town policy commander. It is a town police commander. Kotwal, town police commander. And Diwan was your chief financial officer. He was called Diwan. So, Bakshi, Sadar, Faujdar, Kotwal and Diwan. These were the 5 officers, those who were assisting Subedar in his work. Next is about Akbarnama and Aine Akbari. This Abul Fazl, he was a chief courtier. What do you mean by the word courtier? Courtier is a person who advises the king or queen, a person who attends the royal court and he acted as an advisor. He was a close friend of Akbar. So he wrote 3 volumes of Akbar's reign that is named Akbarnama. Akbar's rule he have explained in Akbarnama. The first volume of the book give details about the Akbar's ancestors. Who were the Akbar's ancestors? That is in the first volume. In the second volume, it tells us about the chief events, the main events which happened during Akbar's rule. The main events which happened during the Akbar's rule. Third volume was your Aine Akbari. It gives about detailed account about Akbar's administration, Akbar's army, Akbar's household, Akbar's revenue and geography of his empire. This was being explained in Aine Akbari. It also gave us detailed account of the custom, tradition and culture of India at that time. Aine Akbari give us statistical detail, means detail about what price to be set, how much crops is to be yield, how revenue is to be how the revenue is being collected from the farmers. So these all are being explained in the statistical detail in this Aine Akbari. What is being explained? The crop yield, the price of the crops, the revenues collected and the wages of the laborers. It gives a statistical detail about each and everything which were during the Akbar's rule Akbar used to follow. So now at Fatehpur Sikri, Akbar began the discussion about the various aspects of the different religion in 1570s. He held a debate with the ulama, that are Islam religious scholars, Brahmins, the Jesuit priest, means Roman Catholic, and the Zoroastrians in the Ibadat Khana. Ibadat Khana is a place where the people usually used to pray to the god. So he held a debate with the ulamas, the Islamic scholars, the Brahmins, the Roman Catholic, the Zoroastrians. So Akbar realized that the religious scholars, they are emphasizing on the rituals, They are emphasizing on the dogmas. Dogmas means a fixed set of rules. Were often bigots. Bigots generally means a person who is intolerantly devoted to his or her opinion. Okay, especially who treats the other member with a hatred and intolerance. That is bigots. So their teaching led to the division and disharmony among the people because of the teaching of these religious scholars, because their rituals, there were fixed set of rules and regulations. There was bigots means the people used to hate. There was intolerance in their mind. So their teachings lead to the division and it led to the disharmony among the people. After this, eventually, Akbar founded idea of Sulh-e-Kul, means universal peace. It is not a religion, but it is a system of ethics which basically emphasized on the values of honesty, peace, and justice. Okay, this universal peace, Sulh-e-Kul, it is not a religion, but it is a system of ethics, the principles which are basically based on the values of honesty, peace, and justice. The idea of harmony and tolerance, it extended to the people of all religion. So this Sulh-e-Kul, it gave the idea of harmony and tolerance that extended to the all the religions. Abul Fazl helped in the framing a system of the governance around this principle Sulh-e-Kul. The principle is of broad tolerance. It was being followed by Jahangir and Shah Jahan also. But this system was disregarded by Aurangzeb. So Jahangir given description about Sulh-e-Kul. So he said, as in the white expanse of the divine compassion, there is only one room for all the classes. Okay, that should be followed by the all creeds. So in the imperial denomination, where all sides are limited by the sea, so there was a room for the professors of opposite religions and their beliefs, good or bad. There was a road of intolerance which they used to follow earlier. Now it is being closed. Now the Sunnis and the Shias, they are the Muslims. They can go to one mosque. The Catholic and the Jews, they can go to one church for the pray. He consistently followed the principle of universal peace, Jahangir. So based on this principle of tolerance and harmony, Akbar founded a new sect called Din-e-Ilahi. Din-e-Ilahi means that one God only, that religion of one God, that is Din-e-Ilahi. The main idea to establish this kind of a religious order was to promote the universal brotherhood and social unity. So it emphasized on monotheism. Monotheism means one God belief. Abstinence. So abstinence from taking meat, abstinence from taking meat, wine, and they used to recognize the emperor as God's representative on earth. That our Emperor Akbar, he is the God's representative on the earth. Akbar never forced anybody to accept this faith, only Birbal accepted it. The Din-e-Ilahi ended with the Akbar's death. This religion of one God, it ended when the Akbar died. Akbar followed the policy of friendship towards the Rajput king because he married Rajput princess and gave their relatives higher position. I told you, he married Amber's daughter, okay, Jodha Bai, and Raja, his son, and they were all given senior positions in the Akbar's army. Both Jahangir and Shah Jahan were born out of the Rajput queens. Now the topic which we are going to discuss, that is the nobility and the common people. So now the administrative and military efficiency of Mughal Empire, it led to the economic and commercial prosperity in the Mughal period. Because of the administrative and military efficiency in the Mughal Empire, it led to the economic and commercial prosperity. So India became a land of wealth. Along with the wealth, we were having great opulence Opulence means wealth. We are having the state of poverty for the common people. During Shah Jahan period, the highest ranking Mansabdars were only 445 out of 8,000. Means 5.6% of the total Mansabdars, they used to receive the 61.5 revenue from the empire as a salary. So whatever the empire is getting, 61.5% the Mansabdars are getting as their salaries. The Mughal empires and their Mansabdars, they have spent a great amount of money or income on their salaries and goods. The artisans, the merchants, the peasants who used to supply them with the goods and grains, they also prospered. Okay? They were prospered. Prospered means they used to earn a great amount of wealth. The amount of money or the amount of revenue which used to be collected were very little for the investment in the hands of the peasants and the artisans. Okay, the revenue collection left very little for the artisans and the peasants who are actually working, because all the profit is being received by whom? All the profit is being received by the empire state. The poor peasants live hand to mouth, means they are having very less income, nothing to eat. The wealthy peasants, artisans, merchants, bankers, they used to profited by the economic boom because their economy rised, so they all were profited. The Mughal elite, they were the highest paid officers, the Mughal elite. They were very powerful, they lived a life with extravagance, splendor life with a great pomp. Okay, so thank you and have a nice day. This was about the case study about the nobility and the common people. Thank you and have a nice day ahead.